Hello friends, before we start our manhwa, I want to tell you something important. Some so-called people had given me YouTube strike for no reason, when my videos are under community guidelines and they have removed my videos and my channel is in danger. Although I have sent for strike recapbest, have no idea what will happen, so I want your help. Please subscribe my this new channel, link in description. If anything happens to this channel I will upload new videos on another channel, so please subscribe my channel. And my channel is not even monetized. Otherwise my all hard work will go in vain. The light of Rotunia that appears at night can only be seen with either divine or holy power. I heard the sound of something crashing in my chest. Damn, I screwed up. If I had known the secret of white Rotunia, I would never have said that the flowers were shining in front of Reyes. I felt a chill in my spine and quickly shook my head. Now there is only way lie. Ariel lied. I had a dream. Unlike holy power that appears suddenly, divine power is innate. Perhaps that's why I thought that the flowers seems to glow under moonlight. Reyes twisted his lips and said, "Why does it seems like you are making excuses?" Ariel replied, "Haha. Oh please your holiness. You know I've always wanted to be a real saintess, so why would I lie?" Ariel thought that, real Ariel, would do anything to become real saintess. Ariel added words to avoid his suspicions. "If you really think that holy power has manifested in me, there's a way to check. Use holy power tester, and you will know that I am not lying." After a while he opened his mouth and said, "I would rather have been mistaken. These days you seem like a completely different person." Those words made Ariel flinch inside. He then continued, "Well, it's getting harder and harder to control myself." His golden eyes glowed brightly in the darkness. "It's the first time something like this has happened. Tomorrow morning, before the temple opens, please come to the temple annex." Ariel thought he had finished talking, but he opened his mouth again and spoke. Cold, dangerous eyes were looking at her. He said, "I'll have to check it out," as Ariel said. A bell was ringing in my head to signal danger. I already felt a heavy feeling as if I had shackles on my ankle. After a walk with Reyes, she returned to her room late and found the window door open and a letter was on my desk. "You're not in your room today, so I'll come tomorrow." It was Princess Kyle letter. Looked around the room with a chill on my spine, putting down the letter. Ariel raised one hand and touched my forehead. Ariel thought she had to get out of here as soon as possible, rather than that, starting tomorrow. Ariel reactivated the oracle, then oracle chat window opened. The god of art, Mond, runs barefoot. The god of destruction, Seal, is wagging his tail. The god of benevolence, Oman, is curious about your business with Reyes. After coughing a couple of times, I looked at the chat window and said, "Listen, I don't have much time, so I will just cut to the chase. Could someone break the holy power tester in the temple's annex for me tomorrow morning?" The god of art, Mond, widens his eyes at your words. Ariel said, "I know this is ridiculous request, but I have no other option, and I will consider the one who does it as a savior for the rest of my life, because this will make me get confined in the end. Don't completely destroy it, but just temporarily disable it, please." The gods have entered into a serious meeting. A message Ariel had never seen before appeared. The meeting went on for quite some time. Even after 1 hour no message pop up, and she thought even it's too difficult to make a request from God, even for someone who's favored by God. Ariel couldn't wait and lay in bed. She thought maybe meeting will get over when I will wake up. What if gods didn't help me? I don't want to live in the dungeon. Maybe it was because of the stressful routine that Ariel fell asleep without realizing it. A voice wakes her up. "Your Holiness." It was Daisy. "What's going on?" Ariel asks. Daisy was stamping her feet with an anxious look. "There's a big problem. The temple annex, it's completely destroyed. I think you should go out and see it." "Wait, what?" Ariel shouts loudly. The Temple of Ilium was divided into 5 main areas. The main building, where believers gather every week. Next, it's located in a location with good access to all the buildings, including the pavilion where priests and priestesses live. And Ariel was living in the most luxurious and large room here. And there was the sanctuary, a tower where saints receive oracles, and a library. The last one was an annex that could store holy relics and distinguish divine power and holy power. The annex completely destroyed. Ariel thought, what in the world has happened? She then asked from Daisy, you're telling me it just crashed down like this overnight? It happened overnight, so no one was hurt, but everyone was shocked, and Pope are discussing this with all high-ranked priests. I looked at the collapsed building with an expression that couldn't be expressed in words of absurdity, and focused my eyes on the chat window. The god of knowledge, Hest, claims that his work was the greatest. The god of benevolence, Oman, suddenly swings his lash. The god of love, Odyssey, insists that everyone work together, so the share of the lifetime savior should be equally. What the hell? I forgot I was outside and screamed. I felt people's gazes on me. And I covered my mouth with my hand, but my heart was pounding. You're the gods and that's a temple. Where are their gods who destroy temples? You bastards. The god of art, Mond, is scratching his head, saying that he doesn't like it anyway because the annex building is poorly constructed. Although the purpose of not using the holy sphere was achieved, the scale was too large and noisy. The gods have entered into a serious meeting. The gods have decided on the application of your title of lifetime savior. The god of benevolence, Oman, took half the stake. Then the god of knowledge, Hest, the god of destruction, Seal, and the god of art, Mond, shared a third of the remaining stake. The god of destruction, Seal, protests that it's unfair and closes his mouth at Oman's lash. They were the gods who bought male lead stock like that, and now they are eager to go to the wrong place. I deliberately opened my mouth in front of Pope. Your Holy Highness, looks like a lightning strike. He replied. All of the high-ranking priests agreed that it wasn't a natural phenomenon. There was a lightning strike and a severe earthquake only occurred near the annex. Fragments of meteorites fell, the water supply burst into a sea of water, and the rebar corroded in an instant. Besides, it has gone down to the ground, and the holy sphere and a number of holy relics are buried. I don't know how long it will take to take it out and restore it. Ariel thought, I could guess that the reason the gods had a serious meeting last night was to share how to smash the annex. He then continued. The majority of opinions are suspicious of the high-ranking magician's attack. I opened my eyes wide at the unexpected answer from him. High-ranking magician, you say? She thought. I knew that it was a worldview in which magic existed, but I didn't pay much attention to it because there was no wizard male lead. He said, probably a 9th class, to destroy a building of this size in so many different ways. He looked at the collapsed building with cold eyes. But there are no 9th class magicians in the Empire, and there are a lot of things that are ambiguous, so I'm going to ask Baron Vester to do it. His piercing eyes turned to the wreckage. As soon as I heard the word Vester, my head throbbed and I cried, Diego Vester. I forgot him for a moment. The most troublesome villain of the original story, the greatest magician of the Empire who received the title of Baron for his achievements, and his real identity was one of the magic dukes who ruled the demon realm. Ariel in the original story was crazy about her jealousy of Camilla and made a soul-bending contract with Diego Vester. According to the contract, Diego did harm to Camilla, but her power protected her and the 3 male leads rescued her. That story was about the only demon tribe related that appeared in the original story, so Diego was the one person I shouldn't have met in order not to follow the original story. I don't agree with this, I said to Reyes with my eyebrows hardened. If we entrusted a request to the magicians about what happened in the temple, how funny would they think of the temple? Reyes replied, although the saintess is right, in a situation where we suspect the magician as the culprit, wouldn't it be better to ask them to catch the culprit themselves? A meager 40 remained at the place where the magician used magic, and like fingerprints, it became the basis for arresting a magician who committed a crime. Although magicians aren't trustworthy, but they will never make temple their enemy. And once they understand the situation, I believe they will also help us. Ariel thought, there was no way that 40 people would remain in the destruction the gods had made. So, what will you do if the criminal is caught? In response to my question, he slightly hardened his fine brows with eyes that didn't understand my intentions. Whatever happens, if the culprit is made public, all the people of the empire will know that the temple annex has been so devastated by a magician. Then the status of the temple will decline. If a magician comes in and destroys an annex, wouldn't it affect the security of the temple or even the confidence of the people of the empire? Then he said, "You've changed a lot. I was just worried about the status of the temple. Magicians are gossip monger, aren't they? What's the point of joining the team only in the temple? They can't shut their mouth," she thought. "I just have to push it into a mode that says I'm more mature than before." The corners of his lips twisted slightly at my words. The words of the saintess are also true. We will shut the mouths of the priests and quietly pursue the criminal through the paladin's holy nights, he said. I nodded without making eye contact. Thank you for reflecting on my opinion. Then I turned around and said, I'm very tired from seeing the shocking appearance since this morning. I need to rest a little more. Reyes replied, Of course you may go and rest. He has little sinister smile and at the end he said, See you soon. Scene shifts. Ariel is in her room now. 1,600 franc. I thought seriously about the money I had. Should I just run? Everything was going in a direction I hadn't thought of. Since the temple annex with the holy sphere has collapsed, there's no need to measure my power for the time being. So even if I can avoid Reyes' investigation, Kyle will come to you tonight. After thinking for a while, I heard a knocking sound. Saintess, it's me. Daisy came in through the door and handed me an envelope. She said, I have received a letter from the Imperial Palace. A letter. Frowning my eyebrows, I removed the seal from the envelope and pulled out the paper. I don't think I'll be able to stop by for a while. I'll visit you when things are been settled. Kyle Alexis. I can't believe he wrote such a welcome message on such a uselessly good piece of paper. Kyle, you're a surprisingly sensible man. She thought, yeah, let's think about escaping a day or two more. Daisy said, looked into that matter we spoke about earlier. I'm not sure why, but a temple carriage left for Chiagu about 10 days ago. Wait, you mean the carriage for Chiagu already left? Ariel asked. Daisy continued. The carriage left about 10 days ago, and considering the length of stay, it would take about 15 days. It was 10 days ago, and today, a person from the imperial family met the high priest in mourning. I wonder what all the fuss about. They had already decided to bring her in about a week before Reyes told me about the girl in Chiago. I had a strange feeling. They're bringing in a new saintess, so why are they interested in my holy power? I'm saying that a simple holy power measurement will be easy the moment she arrives. Daisy, when Chiago's carriage returns, I may leave the temple. Daisy shouts, What do you mean, saintess, saintess? No way. Are you going to leave? I was also noticing that the saintess's heart wasn't in the temple, but you take me wherever you go. You're smart and quick-witted, so even if new superior comes along, you'll be fine. Are you just trying to waste the time you've spent until you become Eliam's apprentice priestess? Daisy replied, I entered the temple, but I was struggling because it didn't fit my aptitude. When I was wandering and suffering, the saintess gave me your hand and pushed me, so I don't care. Anyway, if you leave, I'll follow you wherever you go, saintess. Daisy clenched her fists and shouted resolutely. Seeing Daisy's bright eyes saying that she would follow me somehow, I felt a bit of regret, wondering if I had said it for nothing. Scene shifts. Taking a walk as an excuse, Ariel stopped at the third pillar on the east side of the ceremonial hall attached to the main building, because it was the day she decided to meet the child of the Thieves' Guild that she saved. The annex collapsed and security was further strengthened. It was doubtful whether the child could come. However, before the doubts could subside, I heard the child's voice behind my back. You were? The saintess. When she turned around, she saw the child standing. She smiled softly and opened my mouth calmly. Turns out you're pretty good. He replied, The Thieves' Guild's information is the best in the Empire. There was pride in the child's eyes. Did you search for what I said? The child nodded his head and he immediately opened his mouth. Count Rosento, grandfather, Hagen Rosento, bought the necklace from stolen goods several years ago, but now it has been sold to a woman through an auction and isn't in his possession. She looks like a noble girl, but she doesn't show her face in social circles, so we don't even have information about her in our guild. She hid my surprise inside and said to the child, and thought he is trustworthy. Then she said, yes, that's enough. The accuracy of the information exceeded expectations. She said, there's something else I want you to look into. He asked, what's that, your holiness? I took 50 francs out of my pocket and handed it to him. He startled and asked why. Ariel replied, this is the important job, because you will need what it takes to dig up information from your superiors. This time, find out about a person from the Aries area. I understand, he said. Scene shifts. Around evening, Reyes came to see me, with a shaky expression on his face. Ariel thought, why be always keep finding her? Ariel greets. The blessings of the 9 gods. Before I could finish my words, he called my name. The golden eyes fluttered in the dark atmosphere. Somehow, his voice seemed wet. I'm here to ask your opinion. She said, of course, please say it. In about 15 days or so, the carriage with the girl will arrive from Chiago, and the imperial palace requested that the saintess be sent as soon as possible, he said. The imperial palace? For what reason? She asked him calmly, suppressing some anxiety. He said, Empress is with child and she wanted to receive the blessing of the saintess. She thought, if the Empress is pregnant, won't that make Kyle's position even more precarious? That's what Kyle was taking about in letter. She continued, so, you want me to decide whether I should go or Chia, but it's my last mission as a fake saintess, so if you send me, I'll go. At my words, Reyes looked at me silently with dark eyes and opened his mouth. Honestly, I don't like you going to the imperial palace, but if I don't let you go, it'll be strange. His eyes twinkled, as if reason and emotion were fighting fiercely. All in all, it was a really useless fight. He then said, I know how many times Prince Kyle has visited you. He lowered his head and placed his forehead on my shoulder. A low voice rang in my ears. Do you still like Prince Kyle? She flinched and thought, no. Why is the conversation suddenly flowing this way? There was a slight scent of alcohol in the air. He was drunk. She asked, Your Holiness, perhaps have you been drinking? In this world, it wasn't a problem for priests to enjoy alcohol in moderation. He replied, yes, I was comforted by alcohol because things didn't go as I expected. Ariel cried, and thought, things aren't going as planned, you shouldn't say that. He said, I thought I had dedicated this body to the gods. I guess it wasn't like that, when I see things like this in my head. And a chat window flashed in front of Ariel. The god of art, Mond, is delighted and surrenders Reyes' body to you. Ariel panicked and shouts on gods. I don't need such concession. She heard his voice again. What a shame, at best. I made a comfortable place for you to live in the basement of the annex after your retirement, which was completely destroyed by the earthquake. At that moment, Ariel's spine cooled. She thought, the fact that if gods hasn't destroyed annex, then she would have imprisoned there. The god of destruction, Seal, growls, and the god of art, Mond, talks about the aesthetics of confinement. Ah, the fact that I shouted to the gods when I saw the annex collapse earlier is cancelled. Well done, my gods. He continued, I'm wondering what to do to protect you from the insidious prince. Ariel replied, excuse me, I think you're the most insidious, though. Before the atmosphere got weird again, she opened her mouth. Don't worry. I'll take good care of my well-being. So, go ahead and rest today. Then he raised his head and looked at me, smiling softly. He was a little crazy, but when he smiled, he looked like an angel that had descended. He said, if you said so, I think I said too many useless things today. Forget it and go to sleep. After speaking in a soft voice, he returned to his usual footsteps. After he left, Ariel is out of breath. She had been holding in. Scene shifts to Imperial Palace. Ah, I'm bored, said Empress. Rosé Michaela Ilide, the empress, was taking a foot bath with her dress rolled up to her calves. She said, I asked them to send the saintess as soon as possible under the pretext of miscarriage, so she'll be here at least within a week. Right? It's unbelievable how bold that fake is. The boredom is short-lived, sister. We'll see something interesting soon, said her brother who was in the chair a little further away. Her younger brother, Alberto Michael, was sitting crookedly. Rosé said to Alberto with a venomous smile, I had no idea that you would play such an important role as Count Mikhail's prodigal son. This sister is very happy. When this is over, I'll give you a lot of compliments. Alberto shrugged his shoulders. The saintess and the high priest would have thought it would be over if they killed a maid who knew the secret. Well, who knows? I didn't know that girl was into me. That wench Annie maid was one of the plaything of mine. She poured all the fake saintess story. He said, if things go wrong, you can put all the blame on her and Kyle, and even for your miscarriage. Rosé looked down and let out a small sigh, said, Why? What miscarriage, Alberto? I told you that kind of talk is no good for the baby. Last time it was that business with the carriage, and now this. The hands of the maids washing Rosé's feet were shaking. They instinctively knew that what they had just heard was not something they should listen to. Maid said, while trembling, Your Highness, I won't breathe a word about what I've heard, please. Empress get up and said, Alberto darling, clean your mess. Next day, Ariel went to Imperial Palace. Wearing a white lace dress, she gently came out from the white carriage bearing the Ilium pattern. No matter how strong the influence of the temple was, Ilium didn't reach the splendor of the Imperial Palace. The pond, the gorgeous bridge, and the grandeur of the palace seemed like another world. Whoa! She was mesmerized by the glamour of She Palace. Then she shook her head and thought, it's not a time of sightseeing. She thought, the salary she received recently, the money she secured by going to and from the auction houses several times is now 3,500 francs. The temple annex went into restoration work. She often stopped by to see the restoration work, and the wreckage, now exposed to the ground, has largely disappeared, and if they ever find the holy sphere buried in the ground, Reyes might call me right away. She clenched her fists as she recalled a certain relic in shop. It was a little bit difficult for her, but to think that she could go to Lloyd's Merchant one more time. All she need to do is to make through holy power test, and on the contrary, she just need to hold on for today. Then it's a goodbye of my stressful temple life and hello my happy life, and now all she have to bless Empress. That was the plan anyway. Ariel went inside Empress' room. The Emperor said, It is said that the divine power of a saintess has been newly manifested. It's uncommon to have two saintesses in a generation. Although it's hard to understand. Anyway, we need a blessing. So I called her right away, and it's rare to have two saintesses in one generation. She was a woman who looked a year or two younger than me, with blue hair and black eyes. A woman was already standing there. She was wearing a white lace dress similar to Ariel, and she was staring at it with a very static and calm expression. Then Empress said, Your Majesty, to have two saints in one generation, isn't it rare? It impossible. At those words, Ariel began to have an ominous feeling. Empress continued, The blessing was urgent. So I stole the carriage from Tiago in advance. I hope the temple will understand generously. Ariel is frozen now. She thought, why does things keep going wrong? Hello friends, before we start our manhwa, I want to tell you something important. Some so-called people had given me YouTube strike for no reason. When my videos are under community guidelines and they have removed my videos and my channel is in danger. Although I have sent for strike recapbest, have no idea what will happen. So I want your help. Please subscribe my this new channel. Link in description. If anything happens to this channel, I will upload new videos on another channel. So please subscribe my channel. And my channel is not even monetized. Otherwise my all hard work will go in vain.